Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the SAT review series. We are still in the topic linear equations, but today we're going to start a new unit, and this unit is still related to the linear equations, but we're going to talk about how to interpret slopes and intercepts of the linear equations. And this sounds like a very easy topic. And in fact, it is. It's just like in the SAT exams, they have so many this type of the problems, and most often they are the word problems. So you need to be able to read the problem and understand what they ask. What is the meaning of the slope and intercept in the linear equation means here? All right. So before we take a look our worksheets, let's do a very brief kind of review and lecture about the slope and the intercept here. Okay, so I'm going to the whiteboard right now, and so let's get started. So, okay, so I think most of you, one of the most important linear equations is we call this the slope and the intercept forms, right? So the slope and the intercept form, basically we write y is equal to the mx plus b. And almost everybody will know, so what is the m? M is the slope here. And what is the b is here? B is what we call it the y-intercept, right? That means when the x equal to 0, what is the y value? So what is the y? So that's b is the y-intercept. So if I ask you, what is the slope here? Right, so I say, hey, what is this m? What is the slope mean? I think a lot of students, you're going to tell me right over wrong. That's most of the, I think you learn these things like, some of you learn in the middle school, some of you learn in the high school. So you immediately will tell me m is equal to the right over wrong. Yes, that is the formula our teacher taught us when we were in high school or in the middle school. And but what that means here, right? Because in the SAT, the exam, they're not going to say, hey, what is the right, what is wrong? So they're going to give you a word problem. So you need to be able to identify that, right? So the way we interpret the slope really is like what is the rate of changes here. Okay, so that means what is the rate of the change? So the m can be positive and can be negative, right? So what is the rate of the change? So the m's here, that means for every unit of x increase, then because it's in positive, so y will increase. Right, so here, be careful. So every unit, right? So like every unit depends, what is your unit, right? So every unit, then x increase, then y is increase here. So what is the negative mean? That means for every unit of x increase, then what happened to y? Y is going to be decrease here. All right, so because it's negative, so y is decreases here. All right, so then what is the intercept? Well, you can say, well, the y-intercept is x equal to 0. Yeah, that's the mathematical form definitions, right? But what in the real life problems the y-intercept means here, right? So the y-intercept, typical we say, is the initial value, Okay, so it's the initial value. Okay, so when the x is the initial value, when x equal to 0, right? What's that mean? So let's take a look at some examples here, and then I think you will have a good idea. So let y, I said the y is the test grade. Okay, then the x is the numbers of the hours you studied. So if I have a test, and then I will say the y is a test grade. So for example, if I have y is equal to 15x plus 40, 42, all right? So now what's that mean? So, okay, so what is the 42 mean? Don't tell me it's y-intercept. Yeah, what is the meaning for this problem? That means if you don't study, right, so you will get what? You will get 42. If you did not study, you will get what? You will get 42. You just like from your knowledge, your previous experience, you're just guessing. So if you don't study at all, you will get a 42. So now what is this 15 means here? So means, what does that mean? Don't tell me this is the slope, right? So what does the slope mean? Okay, don't tell me right over wrong. So in here, I don't know what the right over wrong means, right? So 15 will tell you what? That means every what? Every extra hour you study, your test grade is increasing or decreasing. Your test grade will increase 15 points, right? Because this is a positive, right? So every extra hour you study, that means X increase. X is the number of the hours you study. Then your grade will increase 15 points. So in here, I can say here, I would say, hey, how about if Mary studied the 2 more hours than John, how many extra points we expect Mary will have more, will have more than John. Okay, so we said if based on this model, if Mary studied 2 more hours than John studied, so if John studied 6 hours, Mary studied 8 hours, then how many extra points Mary will get more than John? How many? Is 2 times 15, right? So it's 30. So the 15 is the rate of the change, right? So it's every extra hours. Every extra hour is 15 points, right? So that's what is we said is the slope means here. So let's take a look then other ones here. So y, I will say the y is the total, okay, so the total cost to make a taco. So let's assume you have a food truck, right? So you want to make the taco. So what is the total cost? X is the number of cost, number of the tacos you try to make, right? You are making, yeah? Okay, so now if I say y is equal to like a 0.75 x plus 150. So what's that mean? Okay, so the 150s here, that means this is what we call the what? This is a y-intercept. That means it's the initial value, even you don't produce any taco. So this ones here could be what we call is what is fixed cost, right? So if you are having a taco truck, maybe that's the cost you need to pay. that's the cost, what? Then you need to pay, let's say here, pay every week. Right? It does not matter you don't make any taco. You have to pay the renting this truck is $150, right? So that's what we mean the fixed cost here. So the same thing here for the 0.75. What's that mean? That means that every extra tacos you made, right? What is the cost there? That's the what is 75 cents, right? So that means every extra taco you make, right? So your cost will increase 75 cents, right? Because it's a positive. So the number of the taco you made, that means number of X increase, then the cost of the Y will increase here. Right? So remember, right, the slope is the rate of the change. That means every unit of the X increase, then Y will be increasing or decreasing, depends on the slope is positive or negative, right? So when you read the word problem, you will see it, right? So you be very careful. So as you can see, like I mentioned, when we started this new topic, a linear equation, I said a linear equation take a big part in the SAT exams. They have so many different type of problems related to the linear equations here. So that's why we need to be careful. How do we interpret, right? Y equal to mx plus b here. Okay, now let's take a look. Let's go to our worksheets here. And I might need to divide this unit into 2 videos because we have about 24 problems. Probably will be too long, to cover in one videos here. Okay, let's start. So let me go to my worksheets here, all right? Okay, so now as you see here, right? Okay, so like as you see, like we talk about here, when when you see the SAT problem, most of those type of problem will be in the word problems here, right? So you need to highlight the things that you want to pay attention. Okay, so they tell you a television is a price of $300 to be purchased with the initial payments. Well, so this one's here, you highlight here. Okay, this is initial payment, $60. And then also you're going to have a weekly payments of $30. And then which of the following equations can be used to find the number of the weekly payment W required to complete the purchase? Assume there's no tax, right? So the initial payments is $60, right? Then the weekly payment, that is the rate of the change every unit. Then now what is your units here is week, right? So what is our answers here? Will be what? Will be here, right? Will be C. So the $300 is equal to the $30 every week, right? You need to pay, right? So you need to pay $30. And what is this 60? This 60 is our initial payments, right? So that's why remember, right? Y, so this is all related to Y equal to the mx plus b. Okay. Let's take a look at the next ones here. So let's take a look. Let's try to highlight the keyword we try to find. So let's say a helicopter initially hovering 14 feet above the ground. After that, begin to gain the altitude at a rate of 21 feet per second. Oh, yes, I find my keyword initial is 40 feet, right? And then they say, begin to gain the altitude at what? At a rate of 21 feet per second here, right? So now you see here, they say, okay, so what is the following function represent a helicopter's altitude above the ground, y in the feet, okay? And the t seconds, right? So the rate is 21 feet per second. So it's y equal to the mx plus b. So the rate here is what? It's 21. Then the initial value, that's what we call the the b-intercept typical is our initial value, is 40. So what is the answers here? Is B is here, right? So y is equal to the 40 plus 21. Okay, so number 3 is here. So let's say, which of the following statement is true about the graph of the equation 2y minus 3x, okay, equal to -4 in the xy plane? Okay, so you say, okay, this is a 2y minus 3x equal to -4. And I know here, remember, right? So we know that this is the most popular formula in the linear equation, y equal to mx plus b. So I said 3x plus 3x. So this is 2y is equal to the 3x plus 4. Then I divided by 2, divided by 2. So y is equal to 3/2. Oh, here I made I'm not careful. And here, this is negative, right? Okay, so this is negative. Good. Okay, so it's negative. So it's 3x minus 4. So this is a minus, so this is x, 3/2 of x minus 2. So correct? So what is my slope here? The slope is here, right? So the slope is positive. And what is my intercept here? Intercept is here, is negative. So I'm having a positive slope and a negative y-intercept, right? So what is the answers here? The answers here is D here, right? Continue. Number 4 is here. Okay, so the number 4 here, right? So the h equal to the 1.8 AL plus 32.01. The formula above can be used to approximate the height. Okay, so h is the height in inches of an adult male based on the length of the femur. Okay, so based on the length of the femur, what is the meaning of the 1.88 in this context, right? So remember, this is the slope, right? So slope is rate of the change, like we talk about. So what's that mean? That means every unit of the L increase, what happened to my H? My H will be increasing. That's right, because it's a positive. Every unit of my L increase, the H will be increased. So the L is the femur, okay? H is a height. So let's see which statement is the best fit. Like every inch of the femur increase, my height going to increase 1.88. Okay, let's take a look. Which one is the approximate femur length in each for a man with a height? No, that's not, right? The approximate inch in a man's femur length in each for each increase of 32. No, 32 is the initial value. No. So the part C is here. The part C, they say, okay, the approximate increase in a man's femur length for each 1 inch increase. No, we say the H is dependent on the femur. So the approximate increase in man's height in each for each 1 inch increase in the femur. So yes, this is the correct answer, right? So the so the Y, so H, so every time the L increase 1 unit, and how much the H going to increase, right? So that's how do we interpret the slopes here. Okay, let's take a look at part D here, right? So the part D here, let's take a look. Let's say the first year Illinois organized a fundraising event. She invited 30 people. For each year of the next 5 years, she invited double the number of the people she had invited the previous year. If Fn is the number of the people invited to the fundraising n years after Illinois began to organize the event, which of the following, is a function best describe the function of the f here? Okay, so here, right? So take a look, you said here, the organized fundraising. Initially, he invited 30 people. All right, so that's good. All right, now let's take a, so we find our initial value. Then let's take a look. Here is something, right? So instead of, for each of next year, she invited double the number of the people he invited the previous year. This one really bothered us. That means it's not every year she going to increase, she invited like 7 people more. She said, hey, I'm going to double that, right? So like in here, so like in here, you said here, right? So basically, for example, like this is the first year, the 30s, right? So then the next year, she's going to double. So it's 60. So 60 is 2 times 30, right? Now the next year, she double this is 100 what? Is 120. Oh boy, 120 is what? 120 is 2 times 60, right? So it's equal to the 2 times 2 times 30. So this is 2 to the square. Let's try to take a look at another example. So it's 240. Oh boy, because it's double, right? So it's 240. So 240 is 2 times 120. So it's equal to 2 times 2 times 60. So it's equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 30. So it's equal to 2 to the third power 30. So this increase is not to say every year I increase the certain thing. And they say it is double. Okay, so let's know, that's why I know this is not linear functions here. Because linear function, that means every year you increase, you're going to increase the same number. But no, in here they say they double. So this is not a linear function. So we know, we cross out the linear function. And then, of course, every time you increase, you cannot be decreasing exponential. So the answer is D, is a increasing exponential, right? So because if you see here, right, so this is the exponential function coming in, right? Okay, so be very careful, right? So even for this one, I have the initial value. But then for the linear function, the increase is every year they're going to increase the same amount. So if the first year increase 10, the next year going to increase 10, the third year increase 10. It's not to say here it's a double, right? So this is a very tricky questions here, right? So this is a very tricky question. So be very careful here. Okay, now let's take a look at the number 6 here. Number 6. Okay, they say that the front roller coaster car is at the bottom of a hill and is 15 above the ground. Okay, if the front of the roller coaster can rise at a constant rate of the 8 feet per second, which of the following equation give the height of the front of the roller coaster car as seconds? Okay, so let's take a look. Do I have my key things here? Let's say, okay, the front of the car is at the bottom of the hill and is 15 above the ground. Okay, so this is my what? This is my initial value. That means I'm not moving. It's initial value is 15 above the ground. And the front of the roller coaster rise at a constant rate at the 8 feet per second. All right, so now I got both, right? So what is the height here? So the height M is 8, right? So M is 8. Now what is the initial? Initial is 15, right? So here is the answer, right? So it's a pretty simple and a pretty easy problem here. And it's all test your understanding about the slope. Like I said, they have every exam, they're going to have this type of the problem. So make sure you know how to do it, right? Okay, so number 7 here, right? So the number 7, This equation above give amount of the C in dollars and electrician charge for a job. That takes 8 hours. Mrs. Sanchez and Mr. Roland each hired this electrician. The electrician worked 2 hours longer on Mrs. Sanchez and then on the Miss Roland's job. How much? Okay, so let's see here is 2 hours longer. And how much more did the electrician charge Mrs. Sanchez and Miss Roland here? Okay, so take a look here. This is my slope, right? And what is here? This is my, we call this the y-intercept. So what is this one means? This is the initial value. That means this is the fixed charge. Sometimes we call this a cold charge. If they come to the trip charge, right? So sometimes we call this is, we call this a trip, the trip charge. As long as they come to your house, doesn't matter they work for 1 hour or 10 minutes, you need to pay this trip charge. So the $75, so this is the slope. That means we know how do we interpret that? Every unit of the H change, the C going to change, right? So if 2 hours longer, so how much I need to pay? So it will just be the 2 times of what? 75. So Miss Sanchez need to pay what? Is $150, right? So, but they both need to pay the 125. 125 is the fixed charge. It has nothing to do with how many hours you work, right? Okay, good. Like I said, this type of the problem is a very simple and easy problem, and you shouldn't spend much time. Just read it carefully and then pick out the key informations, right? Okay, now let's take a look at this one here, number 8, to see if we can find out what is the equations here. So they say a company purchased a machine value at 120,000. The value of the machine, oh, I see a depreciate by the same amount each year. Oh, wow, that's good information. Depreciate the same amount each year. Well, that's the rate of the change, right? So that after 10 years, the value will be 30,000 here, right? So after 10 years, the value will be, which of the following is the given equations? When the machines, when the T, you purchase the machine from the T to the 0 to 10. Okay, let's read this problem again. Okay, I find my slope, right? The rate of the change is depreciator. The depreciator, that means, what's that mean? That means every years you go by, the price is going to be what? Get less, right? So I know my slope has to be negative because of what is depreciated mean. Okay, so now I have my slope. I don't have my initial value. Okay, so which one we think is the initial value? Is 120,000 or 30,000? It will be what? It will be 120,000, right? Because this is how much I start by, 120,000. Then after 10 years, going to depreciate to the 30,000. So I know 120,000 is the what? Is the initial values here. So which numbers I'm having here? So what is the equations here? So I will say the value will be equal to, we know, okay, so we know that by the 10 years, the values, right? So in here, the first I need to find what is my m's here, right? So the m is here. Let's try to take a look here. So this one's here, we say, okay, the m's here. So this is a 30,000, right? So 30,000 even is after the 10 years. So I start with 120,000, and then every year I minus what? I minus n times how many is here? Times 10 years, right? So here is very important, right? So this is very important. So it's a negative m, right? So that means because my, the m is negative here. Okay. So, well, I think I better write this one here. So you will see the m going to be negative. Okay. So now I can do the minus 1200 here, minus 1200. Okay, so this is a negative 9,000, right? So it's equal to the 10m. Then you divide by 10, divided by 10. So what is my m's here? It's negative what? 9 hundredths here, right? So that did I do this one? So 90,000. So okay, so this is 90,000. So it's 9,000 here. Okay, so right now, so that's why be careful here. So m is what is negative, just like we expected because it's depreciation. Okay, so now let's try to write to the my slope and intercept form. So I know y is equal to the negative 9,000 t plus 1,220,000. So which one is match? See here. So these ones here, they try to trick you. They put the intercept in the front. That's fine. So what is the answer? So match this one, right? So it's the B. So this is a good problem, and this one is a little bit complicated. So you might want to review again. Okay. Okay. So now let's take a look here, right? So number 9. Okay. So number 9, they say Jennifer bought a box of the crunchy grain cereal. The nutrition fact on the box states the serving size of a cereal is 3/4 a cup and provide 210 calories, right? And okay, and 50 of which are calories from the fat. Okay, so from the fat. In addition, each serving of the cereal provides 180 milligrams of the potassium, which is 5% of the daily allowance of the adult. A lot of information. Okay, so typical this type of problem, most likely will be very easy problem. Just to see you have a patient to finish reading or not. So let's say which of the following could be the graph of the number of the calories from the fat, right? In the crunchy grain cereal as the functions of the number of 3/4 cup of servings here. All right. So the 3/4 cup of the servings, right? So this don't get confused about the 3/4 cup of the servings here, right? And this is just a serving size. Don't let this one scare you. So let's say they have what is 210 calories here. And then 50%, no, not 50%, 50 of them is what? Which from what here? Which from is the fat, right? So it's the number of the fat, right? So 50 calories are the number of the fats here. And so now they want to see, which of the servings here, from the fat, the number of the calories from the fat as the functions of 3/4 a cup here. So what you think here? Okay, so in here we said every serving, right? So this is if you take a look at the number of x-axis, it's the number of the 3/4, every serving is 3/4 a cup. So don't get confused by that. And out of this 210, I have 50 fat. That means every serving is 50, correct? And in here, we don't know anything about the potassium. So don't let this information confuse you, right? So every serving, so what is this 50 about? This 50 is in fact is what? Okay, so what is this one here? this is the fact of my what? Slope, right? This is the fact of the slope. And what is the intercept here? Okay, so the intercept, that means if I don't do any serving, if you don't do any serving, and then what happened? Do you have any fact? No, right? So what is the answers here? Here is the A's here, right? So when the number of the serving increase, then what happens here? So you got a positive slope, right? So it's 50, that's your positive slope. And the initial value, the y-intercept is 0, because if you don't serve, it's 0, right? You don't have any effect. Okay, so this one's here is a pretty easy problem, but sometimes they would like to put all this other information there, try to confuse you. All right, so just highlight it and make sure you know that. Okay, now number 10 is here. So the number 10 is here, they say oil and gas production in a certain area dropped from 4 million barrels in 2000 to 1.9 million barrels in 2013, right? And assume that the oil and gas production decrease at a constant rate. Okay, I catch this, decreasing at a constant rate. Which of the following is the linear equation is the best to present, right? Okay, so now my initial values here is dropping from 2000, right? So from 2000 to where? To 2013. So the 4 million, this is my starting, right? So it's 2000 here. So what is my slopes here? I say, okay, it's 2000. I start with 4 million barrels. So now I have a 2013. So I dropped to 1.9, right? So that means my slopes here is what? My slopes here is 1.9 minus 4 divided by how many years? 13 years, right? So I will have a negative 2.1 over 13. All right, so my B is equal to 4. So now you take a look here. So this is negative 2.113 t plus 4. Okay, so you look at your answer. You say, oh boy. All right, so negative. So this one cannot be true because it's decreasing. This one cannot be true. It's decreasing. So I have a 2 negative value. Wow, but none of them match. I have a 2.1. This is 2119. Oh, so what I can do? Oh, I find out. So the 2.1 is here. So if I can do like in these numbers here, right? So if I can, so this is a 2.1 over 13, right? So if I times the 10 times the 10, what do you have here? 130 over what? 21. So that's why this one you can change to the negative 21 over 130, the t plus 4, right? So that's why it's C here. I think here, like I said, the SAT, they always like to trick you in a certain way. And so after you cross out these two, and then you see here the 21, the 2.1, they are quite similar, right? So I think even you don't know how to do the 10 over 10, intuitively, you should choose these answers, right? Okay, so now let's take a look at number 11, then we'll do one more problem, and we will stop this videos here. Okay, so here, a startup company opened with 8 employees. And the company's growth plan assumed that 2 new employees will be hired each quarter for the first 5 years. If an equation is written as y equal to the ax plus b, represent the employees y employed by the company, x quarters, okay? So what is the value of b? Oh, okay, so we are quite familiar with, right? So initially, okay, a startup, that means initially have 8 employees. And this company assumed 2 new employees hired each quarter. So I know 2 is the what? 2 is my slope. and A is the initial number. So if I write this equation, I can equal to the 2x what? Plus B. So what is the B values here? So the B value is equal to what? Is equal to A. What is the meaning of that? That means is the initial value. That means this is the what? This is the startup, the numbers of employees here. All right. Okay, now let's take a look at the last one. Then we're going to stop here. And then we will resume to the next video so we don't take too long for this video here. Okay, so x plus y equal to 75. So the equation above related to the number of the minutes x Maria spent running. Okay, and now the number of the minutes y she spent biking. So what does the equation, what does the number 75 means here? Well, this one is here is pretty easy, right? That means just the total amount Maria running and biking, right? So let's see which one is the here. So number 8, the number of the minutes spent running. No, right? I have y. The number of the minutes spent biking. No. So the total number of the minutes spent running and biking, right? Okay, so what is here? So it's a C. Here is the number of the minutes, total number of the minutes spent running and biking each day. Okay, that's it. And like you said, oh my gosh, the number 12 is such easy problems, right? Yes, it is. Like I said, in the SAT, there are a lot of the problems are super easy, right? So you just need to read it carefully and don't let it trick you. Okay, that's it. And we are going to stop here so we can take a break and then come back and we can continue the video number 2. We will finish this worksheet. All right. So it is nice to talk to you and have a good day. So we'll continue, from the next video to finish this worksheet. Bye.